Hey everybody, it's Golmadex, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're getting back into some more Chromatic Cube nonsense. Without further ado, let's get into the Pack 1 Pick 1. I have heard a lot of hype about Grenzo, and I have played it in the Alchemy drafts before. This card is very silly, and I imagine it is only even more busted in Cube formats, where your opponent's deck is going to be full of just nonsense high mana value win conditions, because you're going to be able to draft something completely absurd out of the high stability and then just slam it on your opponent immediately, even if they have removal for Grenzo the second you play them. And if they don't, Grenzo's going to completely take over the game, taking your opponent's best cards and using them against them. So Grenzo does seem really silly, really busted, and I've heard good things, so we'll start with the Grenzo here. Pack 1, pick 1. Now for pick number 2, we've got a black-red duel immediately to help get our mana fixed towards Grenzo no matter what we're playing. That would be very reasonable. If we're playing 5-color, Tribal Flames can be a really solid cheap removal spell. What is this? The Antiquarian. 4 mana 3/3 haste, you can conjure a duplicate of a non-token creature or artifact you control into your graveyard, and you can unearth it for 2 mana. So it's a cool little reanimation combo spell where you try to put a high mana value creature in grave and then reanimate it for just 2 to get 1 swing out of it. That's pretty cute. Obviously there's Railway Brawler, which gives us a ridiculous amount of stats for the mana cost. There's 2 great token producers in white for going really wide. All kinds of stuff in Cube. I think I'm just gonna play with more of the new hotness. We'll just go all Outlaws of Thunder Junction right now, grab a Railway Brawler and a Grenzo to start things off. For pick number 3, this Triome isn't red, but it does combine our black and our green to get mana for Railway Brawler or Grenzo. What do the non-lands have to offer? Oh, Wayfarer's Bauble. I feel like this is just great for any deck, right? Because there's not a lot of really good things to do early in the game other than set up your mana and cast Interaction. And this is a really good way to set up your mana because no matter what colors your deck ends up being, you can always use this to ramp up and fix your mana. So I'm going to take Wayfarer's Bauble here over all the super powerful high mana value nonsense that's just all over the place in the cube. Pick 4, Nightmare Shepherd and Roxanne for just super powerful nonsense, or Dragon Skull Summit for fixing. Really like Roxanne, giving us 2 mana of any color off of the meteorites that she produces. That can like really ramp and fix. Plus she's probably killing something small the second she hits the board. I'm gonna go Roxanne here. Pick 5 doesn't look like much. What is this? When it enters the battlefield, secretly choose a card in your graveyard and put a duplicate into your hand. If it's not a land, the duplicate gains Flash. So basically 4 mana, 4/4 menace ward 2 that picks up a card from your grave. Pretty strong. Pretty strong. But that would add us to blue as well here, whereas we can just take a really solid green card again. The Cavalier of Thorns that ramps you when you play it and reanimates something when it dies. Well, it doesn't reanimate it, but it recurs it, puts it back on your deck. Ooh, Curated seems good. A 2 mana mana rock. Key to the Archive sick though. Get something from the spellbook and 2 mana of any one color. Yeah, no, Key to the Archive's like even sicker mana ramp. It is more expensive, but the ability's really nice. There's a Braid for cheap interaction, which is obviously a high pickup too, but I think Key to the Archive is just so good for fixing in this cube. Pick 7 looks pretty weak overall. If we play a bunch of mana rocks, Kinnan can pop off. We have 1 right now with the Key to the Archive. Technically, Kinnan works with Roxanne's meteorites as well, I guess. That's fun. We can also just get a nice aggressive creature with Krenko. There's not a lot of really powerful cheap creatures like Krenko in this cube, so I feel like this could just overwhelm our opponents if we draw it in our opener. I'm gonna go for the Krenko. Stick to just Jund here. Speaking of just being Jund, Xenagos is pretty nasty in Jund, right? One of your creatures gets +X and haste till end of turn, where X is that creature's power. So if you slam down your Grenzo, then you make it a 12/12 haste the turn you play it. Pretty cute. And we are trying to Jund him out, so do it. There we go, there's a red-green pathway now that the packs are getting pretty empty. We don't have any self-mill towards this antiquarian thing, so I just don't think that's going to happen. But the Cavalier of Night is really hard to cast. Triple black is a lot. We only have one black card right now. We're just red, green, splash, Grenzo currently. I think I'll still take the antiquarian. These are not our colors of lands, sadly, but Kogli Nidaro works fine. Main deckable Naturalize, that's also just a giant finisher. I want to do Pantlaws at some point. Draft all dinos. Day's not that day, sadly. Palladium Mirror is a little too fragile to me, and the fact that it doesn't add any colored mana is actually kind of a downside in this cube. I'm gonna not take the Palladium Mirror there. Alright, pack 2, pick number 1. Green-red dual land. Spring Bloom Druid for ramp and fixing. Mediocre interaction. Masquerworm triple black is quite difficult for a 3-color deck. But it can be a big one-sided board wipe. It's splashing a Hydroid Graces for big card draw. I think we're on to some fixing here, like Spring Bloom Druid or Rockfall Veil, and I'm going to take the Druid since it's also ramp. Sack a land to grab 2 basics. Put them both into play. So you turn 1 land into 2. Pack 2, pick 2. None of these lands are fixing for us. There is a Golos. Try to pick some Triumphs to get that ability going, and Golos is already just good up front. Play it plus get a land. That is just really good if you get to the 5-color. Can rarely resist passing Golos. Maybe I should, though, for a Mind Stone. For more cheap ramp. Mind Stone's kind of a big deal right now. We are very low on cheap cards. Yeah. And we're not going to be able to do like the really nasty Golos Field of the Dead kind of things, where Golos is actively tutoring for a super important land for your deck. Because it's kind of too late to find enough different non-basics to make Field of the Dead make the 2/2 zombies. Field of the Dead is a land where if you have 7 lands with different names, then you spit out a 2/2 zombie every time you play a land. I'm actually going to Mind Stone over Golos. Now... oh, I guess I could have Golosed into a World Tree. Forgot the World Trees in this cube. We're not a good Yawgmoth deck. We don't have a ton of expendable creatures. I mean, if we Krenko into the Yawgmoth, that'll be good, but I think that's our only, like, token producer. Yeah, just the 1 card to pop off with this. We can Collective Defiance for more cheap interaction if we keep the black to just a very light splash, because this is double red interaction, so it's a little hard to cast. I think that's fine. I do like the World Tree's ability. Once you have 6 or more lands, all of your lands just tap for whatever color you need. But I think we're going to stick to like 2-color splash the 3rd here, the way the draft has gone so far. There's a Kogla, big creature plus removal. There's a Binding the Old Gods, removal plus ramp. Ren and 7, potentially multiple big creatures. I think these 3 are all really nice 2-for-1s at minimum. They're all great options. It's pretty funny to double up the Koglas. Let's just go the King Kong route here. Big monkey. There's a Play with Fire for cheap removal. Take that, or splash in some black removal would be fine. Solemn Simulacrum's fine too. Pepsi Man himself. But I'm gonna grab the cheap removal. We're gonna have like Domain 3, so this will be a 2-mana 3/3. When we're lucky. Probably fine. I don't know if that's better than O'Hare Kaslam or Nissa. Probably not quite. Nissa's pretty good with Spring Bloom Druid. Get 2 lands onto the board in the same turn, get the double mana off of her. If we draft 1 other elf or elemental, then if we manage to Spring Bloom Druid for 2 lands, we will also draw a card. That's cool. Alright, green-red duel. Not much else here. Nantuko Slicer is a really nice one to splash in. 4 mana 3/2 picks up your best card from grave. If you kick it, picks up the 2 best cards in grave. One from your grave and one from your opponent's grave. It is alchemy nonsense, but it's strong alchemy nonsense, so we'll take it. Devil's Play, because I don't believe in my ability to hit triple black, and Champion is like, I don't know, it's like really fun at the right time, but it's a bad top deck late, and it's very easy to just kill it before it gets the attack in and does anything. Voracious Hydra is like a big finisher or a removal spell on a stick, so that's fine. Galta's a ton of mana. By the time we have 8 mana to play Galta, we've probably already dumped our whole hand out, so I'd rather grab Ugin.
Do not defy the designs.
Usually you just cast Ugin to destroy your opponent's best colored permanents, and then you just start making an army of spirits, which is pretty good. Speaking of pretty good, I don't hate Sarkhan. Sarkhan plays similarly to Ugin, where you play Sarkhan, you shoot their 3 toughness creature, and then you just start putting a bunch of Shivan dragons in your hand, which is pretty fun. Alright, well, we got the Territorial Kavu anyway, so we'll play around with it. This thing doesn't add colored mana, right? No. Alright, pack 3, pick 1. We can use Voldaren Thrillseeker as a cheap way to deal 3 to any target. We can use Generous Plunderer to have each player get some treasures. Yeah, it's going to help our opponent just as much as us. It's a little risky. But it also gets some early damage in, which not a lot of decks are good at doing, and we are also potentially curving into Krenkos. So this can give us some good aggro rule nonsense. Kind of like that. There's also Titan of Industry, obviously. But there's plenty of just super impactful 6 and 7 mana cards, and we already have like 4 of them here with Kogla, Grenzo, another Kogla, and an Ugin. I'm going to take the cheap stuff and try to be pretty aggressive here. See if we can get in underneath the splashier decks. Doomscar Warrior, no, that's 4 mana, not 3 mana. Never mind, it's not that aggressive. So it's basically nothing but pretty expensive cards in this pack then. Whenever you damage your opponent, you get to draw another creature. 4 mana, 5/4 trample. It's okay. Cavalier Flame is also okay. Emergent Sequence, I guess, does work like a mana dork. So it has all the benefits and all the downsides of mana dorks, where they could kill the mana dork with removal, and they've killed your land. But, yeah, it can ramp up. Take the Emergent Sequence. There's the Elvish Mystic. Boom, 1 mana mana dork is definitely good, but Gwenna is 2. Whatever 2 colors you need towards creatures. Most of what we're ramping into late game is creatures, but the difference between getting a 1 mana mana dork out and a 3 mana mana dork is pretty vast. Because there's like nothing else to do at 1 mana most of the time, so it's really easy to fit it in there in your opening hand. Whereas Gwenna is like, would be playing a Gwenna instead of a Krenko or a Nissa or maybe a Springbloom Druid that could interact. It's a lot easier to fit these 1-drops in. I'm going to put the Elvish Mystic in. Kolaghan's Command, splash in that interaction, or play Garruk for more interaction, or Unleash the Inferno for more interaction, or we just get some more fixing. I think we just get some more fixing in here. Grab Rootbound Crag. Actually, the off-color land's probably better, because then we can have a black source in here while just playing like a single swamp. Then we have a Woodland Cemetery, 1 swamp that can get pulled out by Emergent Sequence, Bauble, or Springbloom Druid. And boom, we have like 4 black sources already. We don't need to play more than just 1 single swamp. Yeah, I like that. I'm going to grab Woodland Cemetery. Raucous Theater. Augur of Autumn can be good card draw. Mephit's Enthusiasm is really nice, cheap removal. I like that too. But I've got a really full deck right now. I need to cut a lot of cards. Because I kind of want to cut Devil's Play. Still got Play with Fire, Collective Defiance for cheap removal. Yeah, I'm just going to take a land. Pick 6. Nissa's a huge finisher. Storm the Festival's a huge finisher. Siege Gang's an okay finisher. Or I can use the little Maze Mind Tome, so anytime I'm not doing stuff with my mana, I'm just drawing more cards. Get some early game card draw. Lotus Cobra. That's pretty fun. Play a Lutri in the companion slot for free. I don't really have anything to cast off of it, but I basically start the game with a 8th card in my hand every game. Sure. Could also splash in this Prosper, which is a pretty strong card, but I'm gonna get a companion. Nice little mana dork here with Bramble Familiar. Explorer's also decent ramp, and the Pathway would be another black source for us. But we got 2 black duels in here now. Oh, I didn't even recognize Ornithopter Paradise the first time I saw this pack. That definitely goes in the deck. I didn't even notice it. Now here's Doomscar Warrior. I feel like by itself it's probably better than Cavalier Flame, but Cavalier Flame's like really good with Fires of Intervention, but I don't think that's in this cube. And it's certainly not in our deck anyway. Fires of Intervention lets you cast the Cavalier for free, and then you have like your 6 mana up to like triple buff the team. Pretty wild. I like these pieces of interaction both a lot. Probably throw in Kolagon's Command. Ooh, we get the Siege Gang and the Storm the Festival. I don't know if I'm running either. Alright, let's cut the non-Jund cards immediately and the weakest black spells. It put all of my off-color stuff in again because I had to reboot Arena. What's going on there? Okay, that's all on color now. We need to cut 9 cards out of here. I actually have a good amount of actually efficient interactions, so we can cut the inefficient stuff like Devil's Play at this point. We still have Play with Fire, Collective Defiance, Kolagon's Command. Walrus is pretty slow ramp. We got a lot of cheap ramp spells. At this point, Antiquarian still doesn't have any combos. Both of our Koglas, I think, are better than Voracious Hydra. They're just like way more efficient versions, so we probably cut that too. How consistent is this? 2 permanents with mana value 5 or less out of the top 5? So obviously I need lands, but we want to hit like high mana value permanents. Ideally, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 that are 3 or more mana. We're looking at the top 5? Most of the time we're getting like 1 kind of big permanent and then like a land or a 1-drop or 2-drop. I'm gonna drop that. And even if I cut Emergent Sequence, I still have Bramble Familiar, Ornithopter Paradise, Elvish Mystic, Wayfarer's Bauble, Mind Stone. I could cut Wayfarer's Bauble over Emergent Sequence. But I don't know if Wayfarer's Bauble is strictly worse because the sequence makes that land a creature. That means that that land is much more vulnerable than just putting it into play tapped. And you know what? With the Nissa on board, that could trigger off of playing 2 lands in 1 turn. Maybe we keep all of the cards that actually pull out a land and get rid of Mind Stone instead. It doesn't pull out a land. I mean, do I have any other elves or elementals to do anything if I trigger Nissa twice? Yeah, Nissa could grab an Elvish Mystic or a Springbloom Druid if we get a second land per turn off of Emergent Sequence or Wayfarer's Bauble. What about elementals? 2 elementals. Okay, sure. I'm going to keep all of the land tutoring cards and maybe Nissa actually draws us a card. when we play a second land. That's pretty cute. All right, get out of here, Mind Stone, then. And we might get rid of Key to the Archive as well, because we have two 2-mana mana dorks and a 1-mana mana dork. So like at 4 mana, once we have that much mana, we just want to jam these out. Sure. Still 2 more cards to cut. Maybe Maze Mind Tome. I think we have enough stuff to do with our mana to not do that card draw. One final cut to the deck. Let's just get rid of a Play with Fire. I feel like the cube's probably slow enough to go for the bigger interaction, like the Collective, the Command, the Sarkhan, and then of course the really big interaction at the top 2. We've got Ugin and double Kogla. So I still have a good amount of removal. And some is relatively cheap. A couple 3-drops. I don't know. This seems fine to me, and honestly, Chromatic Cube is just for fun. They've never made like a Chromatic Cube arena open or anything, so I'm not that worried about it. Let's just jun people out. This looks like the funnest build to me, so it is the build I'm going to roll with. Alright, here's our final deck list for today. We are just some junned beats. We're trying to jun people out with some big Gruul aggro creatures and some really nice cards off of the Black Splash. So we are ramping up a lot with Ornithopter Paradise, Elvish Mystic, Wayfarer's Bauble, Emergent Sequence, Bramble Familiar, Spring Bloom Druid, Nissa, and so on. So tons of ways to ramp up real quickly, so we can just drop some beefy green-red creatures and try to bash our opponent in the face with giant monkeys like Kogla and Kogla. We've also got our Black Splash towards Grenzo, probably one of the most busted cards in the Chromatic Cube because everyone has really, really strong, really high mana value cards. So if you can heist out your opponent's 6 or 7 drop from their deck and then cast it for free when you play Grenzo, that is often going to be immediately game ending. So Grenzo's the most insane card we have off the splash, but we also up our interaction with the Kolaghan's Command as well. Since our fixing is so good, it's pretty easy to throw that in there as well. So some solid green-red beats, some solid junned nonsense. Let's just hop into the gameplay and see how it does. Alright, here we are for game 1, just curving out aggressively. Territorial Kavru into the Krenko here. We're on the draw, so we can't, like, fully beat down here, but we're still going 2-drop, 3-drop. Doing as much as we can. Deduce from our opponent. Just a couple pieces of card draw. If I draw a good high mana value spell, I might cast Nissa instead of Krenko, but we don't. So let's just cast Krenko, which we don't need to do pre-combat, right? No. Triggers whenever it attacks, not when anybody else does. Discard a card, draw a card, ditching another red source, I guess. Find a Roxanne. That's interesting. If I cast a Nissa and they don't deal with her, then we can cast Roxanne next turn. That's probably worth not playing Krenko right now, even though Krenko is such a snowbally card that you want to get rolling as quickly as possible. Turn 4 Roxanne just seems wild as a possibility here. They're just going to pass? Oh my god, we could even maybe turn 4 Railway Brawler. They've got mana up for a counterspell here. I guess I'd be slightly less sad if they countered Roxanne than Railway Brawler, so we play Roxanne here. I'm going to do it pre-combat so they don't like kill Nissa during combat to stop me from doing my thing. They don't have the counter? Well, Railway Brawler would have been better then. Probably. I guess we'll see what they do here. Make a copy of Roxanne. That's really disgusting. Well, things might have been worse for me if we played Railway Brawler, because they would then make a 5/5 Railway Brawler and block our Nissa without losing a creature, and then they could cast big stuff and go crazy. I guess this is probably better than the alternative. but it's not good. C double's probably like way stronger in this cube than it is normally. There's just so many big stupid plays, big silly plays to copy. Bonnie Paul, I thought I was done with you. Why do you think I'm not drafting Outlaws of Thunder Junction right now? I mean, we get got. We can't break through all of that. Three mana up after this. Guess I can Kolagon's command like mid-combat for 2 damage? Not enough. So I could attack with Roxanne, shoot their Roxanne, and then also Kolagon's command their Roxanne, but then they just block ours with their bow. Kill it. I'm not seeing anything that comes close to flipping this back in our favor here. Maybe I'm missing something. I mean, we can put Lutri in hand, but we can't afford to put Lutri in hand and command and cast Lutri. I could bobble and trigger Nissa and draw another elf or elemental, but I don't think any of our elves or elementals really matter here. Roxanne to get another meteorite's just a chump attack. I don't know. Yeah, it just looks really bad for us. Oh, well, at least it's over quickly. That's well over lethal. We start things off 0-1, heading into game 2. Here we are for game 2. It's the same start. Territorial Kavu into Nissa. Alright. Are we on the play this time at least? Might be. Wasn't paying attention. I think I am. Because we're waiting for them to mulligan right now, which means we chose first, so we play first. Oh no, they're on the play. They just had already mulliganed once. Well, that's 2 for 2 on the draw. With their deck, we're trying to get in underneath whatever they're playing. It's a lot harder to do that on the draw. Ooh, naturally drawn Swamp. For the 3/3 Territorial Kavu swing on turn 3. How do you have green removal? They don't. They're just reading. It's like a green removal spell with no creatures on board? That doesn't exist. You can't fight my Kavu with your air. Go, Kavu, go. Gonna be a pretty big Nissa turn here. Oh, no, it's not. I only have 3 mana. It's gonna be a big Nissa turn next turn. I don't have a 4th land drop that turn. Okay. So... 5 mana up. Can't play Ugin. I think I can emergent sequence and do something else. Let's see. Let's just figure it out. If they respond to this emergent sequence, then I don't get to double spell. But if they don't have like removal for Nissa here, then we get to Doomscar Warrior and we get to draw the Elf or Elemental. Boom, find a Bramble Familiar, that's cute. Maybe draw another card off Doomscar Warrior with the backup trigger. Let's see, I think if they had the ability to shoot something for 3, they would have done it to Nissa in response to us trying to get another land onto the board, so we are going to back up onto the Kavu, hoping and assuming they don't have a way to kill it here. Sick. Pick up a Cavalier of Thorns. There's that sushi for one big blocker. There's a railway brawler for us. And they're just already over it. Alright. We get nice and aggressive that time around, and we do outspeed our opponent before they play massive spells. We are now 1-1 heading into game 3. Alright, here we are on the play for the first time for game 3. We've got a turn 3 Krenko to roll out. Turn 3 Krenko on the play could be big in this format. Our opponent's on red-white to start with, though. Color pair with a good amount of cheap interaction, I think. Red, white, black? That's like all the cheap removal spell colors. Please survive, Krenko. Brass's Tunnel Grinder, let's go. Krenko survives. This does really gross things if it ever flips, though, right? Yeah, every time they cast a spell, they also discover X. So they flip cards till they hit another spell that costs that much or less. Cast that for free. Okay. Sarkin and just start putting a bunch of Shivan Dragons in our hand. I guess I have nothing to ramp into right now, so we might as well. Rather than playing a Spring Bloom Druid. Just release our inner Timmies. All the Shivan Dragons. Look at them. We're going back to Alpha and Beta. We're going back to 1993. We're going to play 25 Mountains, 35 Shivan Dragons. Did this blow up an artifact? No. I always forget on all the modal spells that have like 5 different options what they can do. This one cannot blow up the Tunnel Grinder. Alright, there's some chump blockers for our opponent. I can just kill both of them here. Because I can minus Sarkin on one of them. I can Collective Defiance the other. Sure, and then we play a tap land this turn. I don't think it matters what order I do this in. They can unearth this and reanimate something next turn. It's slightly scary, but still get it all out of the way. Ooh, Xenagos. You're pretty cool. You might not actually be that good here, but Xenagos into a Shivan Dragon's really, really funny. You get to give the Shivan Dragon haste and make it a 10-10 haste. That's spicy. Rakdos joins up, so that reanimates whatever they want, right? I don't know, I wasn't even paying attention what they did. Oh, Meteor Golem. That's good. They kill Krenko here. Yep, so they still take 4. Xenagos without the devotion needed is not actually that good. But it will lead to really explosive plays next turn, which is still really funny. I'm just gonna do it. It's too funny. Maybe I'm gonna lose because I'm doing this, but I cannot resist.
Feel the heat of its breath. Magnificent.
Put them to 6. They gotta hold up instant speed removal to blow up a gigantic hasting Shivan Dragon. How much more devotion do I need? 4 more? I don't think I can afford to get 4 more devotion. I can't play 2 Shivan Dragons or a dragon and a Slicer here. What can the Slicer get from their grave? Generous Plunderer? Does this make the mana? It does. Makes mana of whatever color we need. Goodbye, Sarkin. Like they're letting all the goblins in here. Oh, hey, Gorenzo. That's a little more busted than a Shivan. They have to removal spell Krenko or Grenzo and then take 5 from all the goblins. Resto Angel the Meteor Golem? Okay, that's really spicy. We still heist one of their best cards. Well, the best in the top 3 here. Oh! Oh, no shot, dude. That's so evil. Oh my god. Well, we know what we're casting next turn. That's so funny. What are the odds that of the 3 cards that we get at random? Heist is such a rude mechanic. That's one of those mechanics that's just like super frustrating to play against, I'm sure. I experienced it a little bit in Alchemy where I'm like, man, they're probably just taking all my best stuff and I'm going to draw poop. God, it's got to be super bad in Chromatic Cube. Especially when we hit something like that. Prosper, that's a big one. Find Elesh Norn. Devil's Play doesn't kill him. Elesh Norn looks like the best. Giant Vigilant Haster here. I mean, they've got the Death Touch blocker, and I really don't want Grenzo to die. I think we Elesh in. There's the Death Touch trade. I didn't even notice the flavor text on this thing. Deals damage equal to the power whenever one of their legends dies. Kind of spicy. This doesn't give trample, right? No, it doesn't. So we couldn't have, like, killed them with a Shivan Dragon there, but we could have forced the Restoration Angel chump block, I guess, instead of playing a Grenzo. Pretty much no way that that's better. Oh no. Emil and they can flicker Meteor Golems indefinitely now? That probably wins. Emil plus Meteor Golem? Why the Angel instead of the Golem? Just because it looks funnier? Oh, they get a +1/+1 counter off Emil as well? Okay. Five more devotion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6. This would be 1, 2, 3, 4 more devotion, which is not enough. I can Shivan Dragon, force the Resto Angel Chomp. I can Slicer back my Collective Defiance to shoot them for 4 later, or for 3 later. Pick up the Sarkin, force them to attack that. I can also Slicer back my Grenzo and their Grenzo. There's no universe in which I'm making the right plays right now, but I really can't resist, man. It's so bad. Like, I'm definitely supposed to pick up Collective Defiance to kill this unicorn. And shoot them for 3. But I won't have the mana to do that right now anyway. I guess even if I Collective Defiance the Emil, they can Priest it back. They take 3 to do that, though, which means they can't against the Defiance. Yeah, okay. Take our Collective Defiance and their Grenzo. Block 2 goblins, go to 2 life. Still not quite dead. But worth sending everybody in, I think. But yeah, they're definitely not quite dead to Collective Defiance here. Okay. If they want to use Priest, they go down to 1. They know that we have a Collective Defiance in hand to shoot them down to 1 life. And we have a Grenzo in our hand, again. But they discover off of any permanent they play. So with solid luck here, they could do something crazy. They're going to Priest themselves down to 1. If they can find lethal here, then obviously it's worth it. But if they can't find lethal, then they are just mega dead after Priesting. There might be a way. This graveyard is too big for me to pay attention to at this point. I guess they just hit their Grenzo and hope for the best. Yeah. I don't think we have anything good enough for them to just kill us here. I feel like there's going to be a lot of losing to your own cards in this cube. Let's see what they get to cast for free. Railway Brawler? I don't think that's it. Unless they life gain here. Oh no! Wait, the backup thing? That shoots us for 16. That's lethal, the Voldaren Thrillseeker? Especially with Railway Brawler? Okay, Lauren doesn't do anything. But they can just back up onto Grenzo and then sack Grenzo, and that's 16 damage to us. Because the Rakdos joins up, plus the Thrillseeker damage. Alright! Gross! That's the way to do it. This game was definitely winnable, but I don't mind. It's whatever. We went for Shivan Dragons and stuff. There they go. They found the line. Rakdos joins up, dealing all 20 damage this game, actually. Well, that's not quite true. Some of the damage comes from the Thrillseeker. But the Rakdos joins up did most of the damage here. Why are you even attacking? I have 0 mana up. Just want to get the rubbins. I guess there might be some 0 mana cards in the cube. I don't know. There's just so much crazy nonsense here that there could be. There they go. 1 and 2 it is, heading into game number 4. Here we are for game 4. We got that Wayfarer's Bauble, unfortunately. 3 or 4 games on the draw. Another loot tree deck from our opponent. They start with Xander's Lounge. Rafine's Tower. All the full art triomes to confuse us, I see. I will never know what colors their lands are. I feel like it's probably better to Wayfarer's Bauble over Emergent Sequence, because they can't kill the land that Wayfarer's Bauble gets us. No! They officially have the Power 9 in their deck. They've got a Time Walk as the most important card, but Ancestral Recall is also pretty broken. So they could take an extra turn, they could draw 3 for 1 mana. They have all the Moxes and Black Lotus. Scarifying stuff from our opponent. I've already got triple green, let's get a second red. It doesn't really matter if we kill this Oracle of the Alpha, because it's already done its thing, but that way we know they can't flicker it or anything, so I think it's still fine. But now they could recur it with the graveyard reanimation stuff. Crucius, that's another busted alchemy card. Is this the Alchemy Cube, actually? Kind of. The best card in our deck is Grenzo. Roxanne's got Crucius's name on it. Or I guess I've got a meteorite with Crucius's name just inscribed on the back. It's like the rock they found on the moon that had a serial code on it. A serial number. It's all fake. These aren't meteorites, they're props. Hey, Niv Mizzet. You're just a bad time. They draw a card when anyone plays an instant or sorcery, and they shoot me for 1 every time. They shoot anything for 1 every time. Yeah, this is not good. At least we can attack into it. Down to 11. You know what I could have done, actually? I could Nintuko Slicer back there to Lightning Bolt, and Meteorite plus Lightning Bolted it. Too late now. Let's go for a big emergent sequence. Boom. 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 Look how big this land's gonna be. It's a 3/3. Isn't that neat? That's crazy. What does that conjure a duplicate of? A random creature for my library? Probably not good. Could be one of our Koglas. Oh, it's a Bramble Familiar, that's fine. Railway Brawler, our best card? Kind of feels like it. Shoot the Roxanne, trade the Familiar into it now. Yep. and chump the 5 damage. So they go to 8. No. If they're not chumping it, it's probably because they have some kind of way to flicker the clone crafter or something. Or they could be trying to just chump a bigger creature later. There they go. They are chumping. I guess I should have Railway Brawler pre-combat while my meteorites were double mana. Since they're not anymore, since Roxanne's dead. Ooh, get ready for Railway Brawler to double up the power of Ornithopter Paradise. That's going to be wild. No! They get to choose the creature too, right? Yeah, that's so dumb. They get to choose the creature. Oh wait, they're dead though. They don't have a counter spell. I just get to put Collective Defiance on top and kill them. Hit them for 6. Wait. Is it so dumb but not dumb enough? Yep. Alright. Super close one there. We'll take it. Turn things around. 2-2 now, heading into game 5. We could probably be like 4-0 right now, but again, I'm just gonna get silly with the cube this time around. I don't want to get too deep into it. Blow off a little steam before Modern Horizons comes out this time. Been trying to play my best in the Guilds Ravnica drafts. That's where I'll try to do my competitive stuff. Get that out of the system. Gonna go with the flow this time around for the cube. Well, that's 4 color. They played a blue-black land and then milled the red-green-white card. Well, I now know a little bit more about their deck. That's a 5 color pile over there. There's a Scrap Gorger. If we have removal, we use it immediately, but we don't have removal. So... I don't know why I feel this way, but I am really scared about them reanimating Zakama somehow, so I kind of want to get this Kavu down to start trying to exile their grave. I guess the Scrap Gorger has to exile their own grave anyway, if we don't put cards in grave for them. So let's play Ornithopter Paradise so that we're not putting any cards in our grave yet. So they have to exile their own Zakama to get mana out of Scrap Gorger. And we don't have to worry about it getting reanimated. Nice. Goodbye, Zakama. That seems fine. Now we can just double ramp here towards Ugin. This is a really terrifying board, though. 3 mana dorks. They're gonna have 7 mana next turn? Yeah. Yeah, they are. There's the Golos. Oh boy. Golos in the 5 color deck. They already have access to all the colors. Thanks to all of their mana dorks that tap for mana of any color. What did they do to Loam Speaker in Alchemy? Oh, the land's a 4/4 instead of a 3/3? Okay. Oh, they're the full 5 color Golos Field of the Dead? My dream deck is gonna crush me here. That's sad. Oh, maybe not. I get to blow up Golos at least. That's something. Feels like the play. Get out of here, Golos. They're still going to have an active Field of the Dead pretty soon, though. Ooh. I don't have mana for you right now. I want to, but I don't. We've got a Xenagos for the Gigantic Hasty attacks later. Prismatic Bridge. Well, we've got the Ugin for that. What? Fibblethip? Fibblethip has betrayed us. They put 4 Fibblethips in their deck, shuffled and drew a card. If they cast a Fibblethip, they can now look at the top card of the library and play lands and cast spells from the top for the rest of the game. Oof, that is wild. Probably not as good as getting a free creature planeswalker every turn. We need to kill the Prismatic Bridge first. But I would like to kill both. Kind of want to protect Ugin here. Try to get our 2/2 army going. Wow. Well, RIP. Good grief. I guess I still have an Nantuko Slicer next turn. They exile one of these cards, but then I pick up the best stuff. Okay. So I try to Casualties of War against them. Because we can blow up their Field of the Dead and their case and a bunch of stuff. Feels like the best card to pick up. A Tolly! Well, that was not a good spell they just hit. Oh, it was a curated. Never mind. It looked really scary because it had the Parallax card style. I got nervous. Okay. Creature, enchantment, land. Batali, case, Field of the Dead. I take a lot of damage here still. 7? 7 damage? 10 damage if they hit me with a 4/4 land instead of a Loam Speaker. Stop! Cease fire! Cease fire! They have a World Tree too? They got both of the great cards to tutor out with Golos and Primeval Titan, and they got both of the cards to tutor them out. The Golos and the Primeval Titan that search for the Field of the Dead in the World Tree. Well, I think we just ran up against greatness here. What are you going to do about that? That was... that is a Chromatic Cube deck right there. That is like the picture-perfect one. Yeah, we're not getting out of this. 2 and 3, it is gonna be. Certainly could have had a bit of a better record if we played tighter. In our second loss, for sure, I was just playing for fun instead of playing super tight, and we ended up dying for it. When we certainly could have won. And then some of the other games, I'm sure I could have probably found better lines and gotten the win, but that was less of just like trying to have fun and more of just not thinking too hard on it. So, I don't know. This deck was fine. Xenakos was a pretty big underperformer. I don't know if I recommend that too much, because it feels like a lot of the top-end cards in Chromatic Cube are really about just being complete 2-for-1, 3-for-1 blowouts, and Xenagos never really does that. Xenagos can just make a really explosive turn where your opponent can like randomly die out of nowhere, maybe, but Xenagos is always just like 1 card worth of value. You're never like casting a 6/4 and another spell out of their deck, and then even more if it sticks around, or casting a 7/6 and killing their creature, or, you know, any of the big stuff like that, like a Tali and what's the other one? Breach the Multiverse type cards. You're never getting the big 2 or 3-for-1 or anything out of Xenagos, so that's probably the biggest underperformer. The rest of the deck was fine. It was pretty much doing about what we imagined. Some games we got to aggro out against slower decks, and in other games we tried to play big beefy stuff and try to out-beef them. That didn't work quite as well because there's so much explosive late game stuff, but is what it is. We grab our 2-3 1000 gold and some random rare rewards. I guess random uncommons. And a mythic rare amount of gems. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed this video and are interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in a recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.